We've been told that independence is financial. Like if you can pay your bills, you're independent. And yes, money does matter. I talk about it all the time. But after 50, I think the ultimate exercise in power is something simpler than people realize. It's choosing every meal, every path, and every pace without explaining yourself to anyone. It's stepping onto a plane alone and realizing, oh, I don't have to manage anyone. I don't have to negotiate. I don't have to make sure everyone is okay before I'm allowed to be okay. And the more I live this chapter, the more I believe this. One of the greatest adventures you can give yourself after 50 is simply meeting your own company. Not finding yourself in some dramatic way, just meeting yourself without your roles. Hi, I'm Michelle, and on my channel we talk about creating a peaceful, confident life after 50, especially if you're living alone, traveling solo, or navigating retirement. Travel has this funny way of stripping away who you've been performing for. It removes titles that you've outgrown. It makes you see yourself as a person again, not just the role you've been playing for decades. I'm filming this during my month-long stay in New York City, and I can already tell you this trip is not just a vacation. For me, it's a caretaking detox. If you have a large family like I do, there's often one person who becomes the default, the easiest person to call, the one who will say yes or the one who will help figure it out. And for me, I'm that person. If grandkids needs watched, I'm the one they call. If someone needs help moving, help with errands, help with pets, I'm the one they call. And it's not even always because I'm the only option. They could call their siblings, they could call their dad. They could ask someone else, but I'm closer, and in their mind, it takes a lot less time to figure out schedules with me than it does with siblings who work. So calling mom becomes the path of least resistance. And I love my family. We are so close, and I'm grateful for that. But being the default person comes with an invisible weight. It's not just the time you spend helping, it's the constant mental availability. It's feeling like you're always on standby. It's knowing your day can get rerouted by one phone call. Now, yes, I know, I could say no, but if you've been the caretaker for decades, just say no isn't always simple. Sometimes you say yes just because it feels like love, and sometimes you say yes because it's easier than the guilt. And sometimes you say yes because you don't even realize you're allowed to say no until you're already saying yes. So when I booked this month-long trip to New York City, one of the reasons it felt so powerful is because it put physical distance between me and the default role. I'm not 5 minutes away, I'm not down the street, I'm not available for a quick drop-in. And that matters because physical distance breaks the muscle memory. It forces new patterns. It makes everyone else do what they could have done all along, find alternatives. Use the options that were always there, but they didn't utilize because calling mom was so easy. And honestly, I think that's healthy for everyone. It's healthy for them because they learn that they can figure it out. They can lean on other people. They can plan. They can problem solve. And it's healthy for me because I get to feel what it's like to not be on call. And there's another piece to this detox that I didn't fully understand until I got here. When you're the default person, your life is full of collective compromise. You're constantly adjusting to other people's needs and schedules. Even when you're not physically doing something, you're mentally accommodating. But when you travel alone, that disappears. Suddenly, there are zero social obligations. No one is negotiating timing. No one is disappointed if you change your mind. There's a sudden clarity to your day that feels almost shocking. You wake up and the day is yours. The peace is yours. The choices are yours, and that sounds simple, but it's not. For a woman over 50 who has spent most of her life being needed, it's freeing. There can be an outdated stigma that the solo traveler is lonely. Like if you're traveling alone, it must mean something sad about you. Like you don't have anyone. Or you're brave in that pitying way people say when they don't understand. Traveling alone is not a sign that you're lonely. It's a sign that you have social power because you're not waiting for permission. You're not waiting for a companion. You're not putting your life on hold until someone else is available. You're choosing yourself, and there's a psychological benefit to being a stranger in a place where no one knows your history. No one knows your titles. No one knows who you've been to everyone else. You're not just mom. You're not the responsible one. You're not the helper. You're just you. And you, when you step into that, you start moving differently. You start noticing what you're actually like. You start listening to your own preferences. You stop managing and anticipating everyone else's needs. And you remember what it feels like to belong to yourself. I've been to New York several times by myself for week-long stays. I've done things alone, and sure, there's always a little small talk, waiting in line for a show, chatting at a museum, that kind of thing. But this trip is different. This trip feels like it has a theme, and I decided before I even arrived that the theme was going to be connection. Even though I'm traveling alone, I was going to make connections, whether it lasted 15 minutes or whether it turned into a lasting friendship. I wanted to be open. I didn't want to just pass through this month like a ghost. And already it's happening in the most ordinary, beautiful ways. I brought my dog Louie with me, and on afternoon walks, I now have a woman I talk to daily. Daily, think about that. A few days in a new city and already a regular person in my life. Because we're both walking at the same time in the same place with the same rhythm. I went to the park one morning and ran into another YouTuber. I introduced myself, and she also has a miniature Australian Shepherd. We stood there talking for several minutes like we'd already known each other, and we're going to schedule a coffee. Another day, I was sitting on a bench relaxing, and two women walking their dogs stopped to visit. Not an agenda, just a simple connection in the middle of the day. One of my favorite interactions so far happened when I took the bus to Target to get a few essentials. On the ride back, I ended up talking to a woman at the bus stop. She was so excited because she had tried to see a live taping of a morning talk show, but it filled up before she could get in. So she got to pick a later date to use her ticket, and she's going in December when they do Christmas giveaways. She told me she's probably going to try again before then too. And during this whole conversation, she said something that stuck with me. She said she's retired and decided to be a tourist in her own city, and she is loving it. We talked the whole 15-minute ride. 15 minutes, and it filled my cup more than people realize. And that's what I mean when I say traveling alone isn't lonely. If anything, it can make you be more open. When you're alone, you're more approachable. You notice people. You're not locked into a couple bubble. You're not rushing to keep up with someone else. You're present, and that presence creates connection. That's why I think traveling alone after 50 is one of the best things you can do. It strips away the roles that you've outgrown. It breaks the caretaking muscle memory. It challenges the people in your life to find alternatives that were always there. It gives you back your time, your pace, and your preferences. And it reminds you that you're not just useful. You are a person. You're a whole person, even when you're not needed. And if you're someone who has spent years being the dependable one, the one who's always there, the one who handles things, the one people call first, I want you to consider what physical distance might do for you. not because you're abandoning anyone, but because you're allowed to have a life that isn't centered around being available. You're allowed to step onto a plane alone. You're allowed to choose your day without explanation. And you're allowed to sit on a bench and do nothing. You're allowed to walk new streets just because it looks interesting. And you're allowed to be in a place where no one knows your history and no one expects anything from you. You start realizing your greatest adventure isn't finding someone else to keep you company. It's realizing that you enjoy your own company. It's proving to yourself that you can trust yourself, that you can be alone without being lonely, that you can be free without feeling guilty. So if you've been thinking about taking a trip alone, even a small one, I want you to start with this question. What would it feel like to spend a few days being nobody but you? No titles, no caretaking, no managing, no explaining, just you choosing your meals, your path, and your pace. And if that idea scares you a little, I actually think that's a sign it might be exactly what you need. Tell me in the comments if you've ever traveled solo or want to. Thank you so much for watching.